Hi and welcome to the review and soundcheck of the Anker Soundcore Boost. This is one of the newest speakers from Anker's new lineup, which contains the entry-level speaker, the Soundcore 2 for $50, the Soundcore Boost for $70, which we have right here, and the flagship, which actually sounds worse than the Boost, the Soundcore Pro, which goes for $110. The Soundcore Boost comes in a new high-quality box, which makes you feel like you are unboxing something way more expensive than this. On the outside you can read some of the key features like the new bass-up system, and on the inside you get the speaker next to some manuals and a micro USB cable for charging. When you take a closer look at the speaker, you notice that it's quite compact and much more high quality feeling than the predecessor, which is the Anker Soundcore Premium. On the top you find all of your buttons, on the side you have a flap which makes the speaker waterproof or splashproof at least, and covers the micro USB port for charging, the auxiliary port and the USB out port to charge external devices. The driver layout is pretty simple. At the front you have 3 drivers, which include 2 full range drivers and 1 passive radiator, and at the back you have 1 more passive radiator for the extra bass. I couldn't directly test the battery life of it, but the battery should last more than long enough for you, and I've never had any problems with it when I was taking it out or something. Now when it comes to sound quality, I was really surprised with the new Anker Soundcore Boost, as it can really keep up with the more expensive competition despite its low price tag. The bass is very similar to the one on the JBL Flip 4, just that the Anker keeps more of it on maximum volume. The mids were very average sounding but okay, and the treble was also okay sounding, but it could be a little bit clearer. But still, it sounds very dynamic and really shines with modern music. Without bass up enabled, the bass is nice and punchy, but together with the bass up turned on, it becomes even comparable to something like the JBL Charge 3. The bass up feature doesn't boost any strange upper bass, which would make it sound really awkward like the Sony devices, but it only boosts the nice lower bass, which is very impressive sounding. But now, before I talk too much, please put up your headphones, as this is a binaural microphone recording, and enjoy the sound check. So let's turn the Anker on and start with a comparison. First we are going to check it out against the UE Wonderboom. Yeah, quite a nice small speaker, in my opinion the only okay sounding one from UE. Currently goes for about $88, so $20 more than the Anker or even more. Some people even have to pay over $100, so we are also going to check out how those two perform. Then of course against both JBLs, because I think it's something in between those two, because it has almost the same bass as the Charge, and I think, I don't know, the overall performance from the JBL Flip 4, so it isn't as loud as the Charge, but rather as loud as the Flip 4. Also size wise it's more comparable to the Flip rather than to the Charge. Then we are also going to check it out against the new, Budget King, the Orora Eclipse. Of course, there's now also the DOS XL or DOS home speaker, which is a bit bigger, but also only goes for $90, and I think this will be the new king. But so far I didn't receive any, test sample, or I didn't buy any of them. But if I will of course make a video about those. But now I first want to demonstrate you the bass up feature. So let's start without it, and then I will turn it on and you will see it via this button there. So some nice deep bass, also sounds clear. And first I was really surprised because it doesn't boost any upper bass. But rather some nice lower bass, which is totally new to me because I'm, used to the Sony extra bass feature, which in my opinion is total junk. They just boost the upper bass and it makes the speaker sound cheap and hollow and, unnecessarily boomy, and doesn't really increase the bass. It just makes the speaker more hollow sounding. But when I first listened to the bass up feature, I thought, wow, it's really nice because it simply boosts the lower bass notes. But with some tracks you also get some problems here. You will hear it in the next one. It gets slightly, distorted when you turn it on. Let's turn it on. so it isn't 100% clean anymore. This is more enjoyable. So together with the bass up, it, I don't know, becomes a bit out of control sometimes, because I mean those little drivers have to take this huge bass boost, but it's still impressive. A 9 out of 10 case that it remains clean sounding, and if you don't want the bass up feature or if you don't want the distortion, you can simply turn it off and then you will still get okay sound on the level of a Flip 4. And when you activate the bass up feature, it sometimes even comes close to the Charge 3, which in my opinion is, I think, yeah, the best speaker when it comes to overall bass performance, together with the A1 and the Revolve. The A1 has some nice deep bass, but it is missing the punch a bit, and the Revolve has the same kick as the Charge, but cannot hold it as long as the Charge. So next, let's check out the UE Wonderboom. I will place it like this because it has one driver here and one there. So it's some kind of 360-degree sound. And let's check both out with another new track here. This sounds much better. This is no comparison. Even without bass up, it will be better. So yeah, you can simply hear that the UE doesn't have a slight chance. Let's check out the first track again. It's simply missing this kick. This sounds much better. So except you really want a great outdoor speaker, which needs to be waterproof and really rugged and also quite small, the UE might be the one for you. It also is, I think, a bit louder than the Anker, but on max it sounds much worse than the Anker, and the normal levels up to 80%. I don't know, you will hear that the Anker can simply outperform the UE, as it sounds just much bigger, much better, more bass. You could hear with the last track, the UE was simply missing this overall bass atmosphere, which the Anker could deliver nicely. And yeah, maybe let's also check out the jazz track, and then we should switch to the JBL Flip 4, I think, because, I don't know, the UE really seems to be no comparison. The UE almost sounds broken. Feel like I'm gonna go crazy, watching minutes falling out of the clock. Well, my vision is hazy. Somebody help me, I wanted to stop. Well, and then what the doctor told me, I still can't get no sleep, no. Cause I'm thinking of you, babe, and it's playing on repeat. Well, I close my eyes a bit tighter. Block the memories out. Oh, the night's getting lighter, and I'm feeling so worn out. I mean, the UE might have a bit more treble, but this is no comparison. I mean, only on max the UE will be slightly louder, but it will also sound much more compressed than the Anker. Next, let's maybe check it out against the JBL Flip 4. This is a much, I know, fairer comparison, because the Flip, yeah, is nearly equally big, maybe a bit smaller. and also, I don't know, sounds better than the UE for sure. So let's check out another pop track maybe, which you already know from my channel here.
Driving with you. Let me take you far from here.
For now I will leave bass up on.
Driving with you. The whole world disappears. Driving with you. Let me take you far from here. Driving with you. The whole world disappears, disappears, disappears. The morning lights up, crystal clear water, blue skies. Just you and me, the open road, the light beams fly by. Driving for 1,000 miles, there's nowhere else I wanna be.
And although the Anker isn't 100% clean, you could hear that it simply sounded more convincing. I mean, it offered a richer, bigger soundstage or overall sound, and together with the bass up, of course, it simply has the better bass than the JBL. Maybe not as precise, but without the bass up, which you will hear next, the bass is on one level with the Flip 4, also as precise, as clean sounding, and on low levels the bass up even pushes the bass a bit further, which is another advantage over the Flip. On high levels it reduces less bass, so I really don't know why you should go with the Flip instead of the Anker. Maybe you like the design more, but yeah, the Anker in my opinion sounds a bit better. But of course with jazz music it's another story, but we will hear this in a second.
She wasn't always smiling from day one, but her attitude changed the day she got her first son.
Let's crank it up a bit.
And surprised she didn't freak out when everything out of his mouth seemed a little Asian. Mother looking down from the space station. Through them I learned I could be great, depending on which direction that I face, son. Happiness only takes one, but when you got two, that's less blues and more clues. Man, I might not make it. Times I hit snooze. Wake up, Tyler, you ain't got nothing to lose. Came from the same stuff as the bruise. Now, we free from he who shall not be named. Never been around where nothing could be gained, so he can wallow in his shame. Was a hard pill to swallow, but we took it the same. Remember times he tried to take me back, picked me up from school and told me that I didn't need a pack, and I'll be on the plane, and if you didn't fight, so
you can hear that on normal levels the bass, the treble boost of the JBL comes in handy as it sounds a bit clearer than the Anker, but on higher levels where the JBL Flip 4 loses quite a bit of bass because we were at about 75% volume, the treble gets a bit too sharp, a bit too, I don't know, too present compared to the Anker. And when turned on with the bass up feature, the Anker sounded even more powerful than before, which is just crazy for $60. I mean, the JBL is $100, or here in Germany it's even 130 euros. So yeah, it's quite unfair when you compare them with, I don't know, modern music. But when checking out a jazz track, I think that things will change. So you can hear that the JBL sounds much clearer now, and the bass was nearly equal. Of course, with bass up turned on, the Anker still sounds a bit more powerful, rather like a Charge 3 and not like a Flip 4. But treble wise, I think the JBL Flip 4 wins here. So if you want a small hi-fi speaker, which, I don't know, sounds pretty balanced on normal levels, I would go with the JBL. But if you want something, I don't know, which also sounds very great with modern music, not that the JBL Flip 4 doesn't sound great with modern music, but the Anker simply does it much better. I think it sounds more powerful. And next, let's also check them out almost at max volume. I don't know if my microphone can handle this because the gain is quite high, but let's maybe check it out. Maybe the cables are too short, so let's do it like this. And let's check out a more extreme track, this time on higher levels. So next, let's check out the JBL Charge 3, which is the next bigger model to the JBL Flip 4. And let's see if this one can, I don't know, keep up better. So let's check out our very first track again. And the bass is just awesome here. But this isn't that much off. You could hear that the Charge 3 still was the bigger speaker. The bass was a bit deeper, a bit more relaxed, sounding a bit more punchy. But overall, for a speaker which is half the price of the JBL and also a bit smaller, and of course, not from a big company like JBL, but from Anker, which isn't as known, it's very impressive. I mean, you could hear that, I don't know, they were pretty similar sounding, and the JBL really, didn't sound that much better than the Anker. So, let's maybe check out one more track here.
It makes me crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine is here, you can take a break. Hot air balloon, I could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, come away. Because I'm clap along if you feel like a homeless on the roof. Because I'm clap along if you feel like happiness.
So you can hear that they still sounded pretty similar. I mean, there wasn't that much difference, and I think that the Anker even has some nicer treble. Overall, both are, I don't know, almost the same package because the Anker has a great battery, the Charge as well. The Anker is not as waterproof, but also has a charge out feature, so it can charge your mobile phone, for example, if you're on the go. The Charge 3 can do the same thing. They are almost equally loud, with the Charge being a bit louder, also keeping a bit more bass. But of course, also the bass punch is, I don't know, similar, and the treble is even nicer on the Anker, just that the Anker is almost half the price. So I personally would maybe pick the Anker, but the JBL, of course, still is the king for modern music, as it still sounded a bit better than the Anker. Maybe let's also check out one more track here, maybe something more hip-hop.
Strap pop, hottest black top, in that black top, eyes flutter as your back lock, grip tight on your hips like a padlock. I don't know, I had strings of bad luck.
Let's maybe crank them up a bit again.
We crush your laptop. Come on, beg, come on, say my name like they do at shows. Only difference is I hear your voice.
all your legs, they feeling so nice. You and Goof, here's some smoke. Keep your mind at ease. I hope you don't forget to breathe. Ghost stories. Yeah, 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 yeah. Ghost stories.
So again, in my opinion, the mids and the treble sounded a bit nicer on the Anker, but the bass, especially in higher levels, becomes, I don't know, a bit more powerful sounding with the JBL, while the Anker, of course, needs to reduce some of it, as I think the drivers aren't as big and also not as high quality, but still very impressive. It could keep up, and the Charge 3 didn't fully destroy it or something. Let's check out one last hip-hop track, or pop track. This is about 80% volume. And this is about 70.
But here's the thing, what you thought we had never lasted. It was good at first, but eventually could see between. You did everything you could to have me. You did your best to make me yours. If I knew how all of this would turn out, but nobody knew. And now we done it, you. Now we done it, you. Baby, you.
Yeah, now both sounded quite similar, with the Charge again being a bit more full-bodied, a bit bigger sounding, but this is what you expect from a bigger, more expensive speaker. But still, again, the Anker is quite impressive sounding for the price. And of course, it isn't meant to be in the class of the Charge 3. Maybe some Anker Soundcore Boost XL would be nice, because the Anker Soundcore Pro is a bit softer than the Anker Soundcore Boost, which is a bit confusing. But next, let's check out the Orora here, which, I don't know, is in my opinion the king in this kind of budget class. It goes for $50, so $10 less, or I think this is $70, so it's $20 less than the Anker Soundcore Boost, and in my opinion it sounds a bit nicer. So let's check out another, I know how to call this, I don't know, kind of music. Maybe it's some pop or something. So let's listen to it again.
You're working so hard. You played too hard. Supposed to pay off. Big dog is cheap. You gotta go deeper than deep. Get me up. Can't but go. I'm your wish and know that I'm in control. I'm in control. Don't you know I'm not in control? Your hands against the wall. I'm in control. I'm in control.
One issue with the Orora is that it sometimes has some intermodulation, because it has nearly the same tuning of the Charge 3, which of course leads to some intermodulation from the drivers with the Orora. The Anker doesn't have this, but in my opinion the Orora still, I know, sounds a bit more powerful, a bit nicer. Let's now also check out another hip-hop track, which we have already heard before. And let's crank them up again.
The day she got her first son, learned the secret technique of hate evasion, and surprised she didn't freak out when everything out of his mouth seemed a little Asian. Influenced and looking down from the space station. Through them I learned I could be great, depending on which direction that I face, son. Happiness only takes one, but when you got two, that's less lose and more clues. Man, I might not make it, amount of times I hit snooze. Wake up, Tyler, you in the loose came from the same stuff as the bruise. Now we free from he who shall not be named, dude.
And now the problems with the Orora kick in. Although it sounds a bit better on normal levels in my opinion, on higher levels it really struggles. They built in the wrong limiter, so it always has some kind of volume dropping. As soon as the bass kicks in, it reduces the volume in order to keep the bass. It would be much more intelligent if they just removed some of the bass, like Anker or JBL do, and then the sound would be much clearer without this kind of volume pumping. I want to show you, I don't know, the sound on normal levels, and then we will crank them to max. So let's maybe place them a bit farther away, so I can move back then without any distortion from the mics. And let's check out this track maybe. This is about 60% volume now. Also treble is a bit nicer, no intermodulation. So both sounded very nice here, although I would prefer the OK as it sounds a bit more dynamic in my opinion. But now let's see what happens on very high levels. So let's crank them to max again and let's see how they will perform now with the same track again. So next, let's maybe also check out one more jazz track on normal levels this time, and let's see how they perform here. Again, I would prefer the OK. They aren't that far apart, but the OK sounds a bit more dynamic, also treble is a bit more sparkling, and bass seems to be a bit more punchy with the Anker, but a bit more natural sounding with the OK. Let's check out the same track on lower levels to see how great the bass boost for the Anker works. Thanks to the bass up, it also boosts some bass for lower levels. It doesn't do it automatically, but it's better than nothing. Because the OK has no bass boost for low levels, so you can hear that it sounds pretty tinny. But still, treble is nice on the OK, but the bass is simply missing from the OK here. So this is it from the sound check, and as you could hear, the Anker Soundcore Boost is quite an impressive speaker for its price tag. In the future I will also maybe check out the Downy A7 and the DOS XL, which will be some very hard competition for the Anker. In the comments you can let me know which speaker you enjoyed most in this video. If you enjoyed this video, I'd be happy if you could leave a like or subscribe to the channel. Until then, have a great time and bye bye!